Welcome to Storm Management Training. This program is a real-time performance metric that uses RWIS stations to measure the grip on the roadway. This program is taken over for the MMQA 1 hour after storm sheets. Those sheets no longer have to be filled out, as this program will do all that work for you. Before we jump into the website and how the program runs, let's look at how the grading system works. You can see on the screen a picture. We call this the Griffin Grip Cube. This is UDOT's policy in picture form. As you know, we are able to handle 1 inch of snow per hour at 32 degrees with the manpower and equipment that we have. Anything more than that, we are not expected to keep the road in a wet or dry condition. So this picture represents what we would expect the road to look like and the grip conditions at every section. So from 0 to 1/4 of an inch an hour, the road would be wet to dry with a grip of greater than 0.45. From 1/4 of an inch an hour up to 1 inch an hour, we would expect the road to be slush covered with a grip somewhere between 0.21 and 0.45. And anything greater than 1 inch an hour, we would expect the road to be snow covered with a grip of less than 0.21. As you can see on the left, there is an SII, that is the Storm Intensity Index. What this does is try to make each storm equal. So we know that 1 inch an hour at 32 degrees is not the same as 1 inch an hour at, say, 15 degrees. So the Storm Intensity Index includes the snowfall rate, the road temperature, the air temperature, the wet bulb temperature, and the wind speed, and it tries to keep everything on an equal playing field. So if you have 1/4 of an inch of snow per hour at 10 degrees with 20-mile-an-hour winds, that's greater than 1 inch an hour at 32 degrees, so you wouldn't be expected to keep the road in a slush condition. So now that we have that covered, let's jump into the website. To get to the storm management dashboard, you can go to the weather forecast that you all received through email and click on this link for the forecast view. Once you've arrived at the statewide maintenance forecast page, scroll down. In the links column is the storm management. When you click on this link, it will pull up this page and you have to sign in with just your normal email and password. If you receive an error saying that your password isn't valid, go back and change your password and then try again. So this is the storm management dashboard. There's lots of stuff going on here, as you can see, and I'll try and give you a brief description of what each one does. On the far left is the overlay options for the map, which I will enlarge in the middle. So this is a map of all the upgraded RWIS stations in the state that are on this storm management system. You can highlight the shed forecasts, or you can unselect them. You can select on the RWIS stations. You can even get the radar to show up on this map, all the statewide cameras, the snow and ice performance, which is the number in the color. You can even turn on the snowplow AVL. This shows where every truck is throughout the state that is out and moving. And this is graph legend. The green is the excellent, or exceeding our standards. Yellow is meeting the standards, and red is the recovery time. So this map in the middle is very adjustable. You can zoom in, zoom out, find wherever you want to look at on this map. And the nice thing about this system is, since you sign in with your password, wherever you leave the map when you close the program, when you sign back in, that's exactly the same look you will have. And over here on this side, you can check whether you want the storm intensity on the top of your RWIS station or any of the season stats for each RWIS station. And then on the far right side, this is all of the RWIS stations that are upgraded and that we're showing on the map. So to select the ones you want, click on the black triangle up here at the top, and this is a list of every station that we have available. The easiest way to select the ones you want is to uncheck all of them and then just scroll down and pick the ones you want. Once you have the stations selected that you want, click on the map and the program will automatically bring up the RWIS stations that you selected. So what we're seeing right here, this is the name of the RWIS station in blue. The box with the numbers in the color is the current storm intensity index. So right now there's nothing happening on this road, and the yellow is the color from that box. So this is an acceptable condition. The camera icon, the camera should bring up the most recent image from that camera so you can see what's going on at this current time. The flag box over here allows you to input data or input problems that you have with any of the RWIS stations. So on this one we'll say, I can't see the latest picture from the camera. When we hit send, that message will now be sent to the RWIS data bank, and they will look into fixing that problem for us. So these graphs right here are showing the last 6 hours of what has happened out on the roadway. So as you can see, we've had no snow and we've been in the yellow condition for the past 6 hours. So now if we want to dig in further, we click on the blue name of the RWIS station. This opens a new tab and we're able to see a lot more, and we have a lot more information here at our fingertips. So to start off, you can select whatever time length you want to look at on this RWIS station. So I've selected the past 48 hours, and as you can see, it's been a dry road with no snow event. If you also want to look at a specific time, you can click in these boxes and set the time and date to whatever you want, and then hit the go button and that will pull it up. As we scroll down, you can see that there are snowplow truck icons underneath this graph. This is connected to our AVL data, and so every time a snowplow truck drives past the RWIS station, it's recorded and the little icon shows up. This is not 100% accurate, as the time interval from our AVL data might allow a truck to pass through the capture zone on the RWIS before it is recorded. So this is a general guideline, but for the exact truck locations and times, it's best to use the AVL data. So now as we scroll down to the bottom, we can see that this site has had 3 storm events. I'm going to select the one on November 28th. So it had an average storm intensity of 0.17. It lasted for 11.5 hours with a storm severity index of almost 2, and the performance on it was a B-. So we'll dig into this storm and see what actually happened. Once I clicked on the storm, this was loaded onto the graph at the top. So as you can see, it snowed, and then it tapered off a little bit, and then snowed a little harder, and then tapered off and was clear the rest of the way. So at the very top, you can see the colors from the Griffin Grip Cube. They were exceeding expectations 4.3% of the time, acceptable 80% of the time, and weren't meeting expectations 15% of the time, which gives them a grade of a B-. So this graph is showing the storm intensity index and the grip condition at every point along here. The trucks show how many times they pass the station, and if we want to see what was going on, we can click on each individual point on that graph and it brings up the camera image from that time. This was 7 p.m. so it's a little dark, a little hard to see. If we click on 6 p.m. it's still a little dark. 5 p.m. you can see that it's a little bit lighter, but the point of this is to be able to see the condition at that time and to judge how the sensor is compared to real life. So this is where we would, if this picture was, let's go back to a red dot here. If this road was completely bare, but it was showing a red dot, that's when you would click on the flag that we showed earlier and say, I think you need to look at this data. The graph and the picture aren't consistent. And that would allow the people running this program to go in and look at that, and if the data is wrong, then they will flag it, and then this grade won't count. So one of the other things that you can do on this graph is you can select whatever you want to look at on this graph from these options. So I'm going to look at the traffic speed. So I selected the traffic speed, and then it shows up on the graph here, as you can see, with the light blue line. What you'll notice is that during the red portion of this storm, the traffic speed was very low, 14, 17 miles an hour. This occurred during rush hour, and so our trucks weren't able to get out and to keep the roads clear because of the congestion of the traffic. And one of the great things about this program is that it's very adaptable, and one of the things we're looking at writing into the program is if the traffic speed dips below, say, 35 miles an hour, we know that there's congestion on that roadway, and so our trucks can't make it through to clear the roads and to put material down. So we were thinking about making this an acceptable portion of time, because we know that no matter how hard you try, if your truck is stuck in traffic, you're not going to be able to keep the roads clear. So that's just one of the things that we can do with this program to adapt it to the current conditions. And so now I'm going to click on a different storm, and the page will refresh. And what we're looking at is the same thing. This was the storm intensity. This is the traffic speed. And overall, this storm had an A-. So they did really well in keeping the road open at this time. A couple other things I'd like to talk about on this page. If you scroll all the way to the right, you can see the current conditions at this RWIS station. And also for whatever storm you selected, you will receive a summary. So this includes the minimum, maximum, and average of air temperature, road temperature, winds, snowfall rate, and the road grip. So this is pretty useful information when you're looking back at past storms and trying to figure out what happened. The current winter summary will eventually show how many storms you had, how long they lasted, the average storm intensity, and the severity index. So this will be updated as the season goes along. So that is a crash course for the storm management program. As we said before, it's an RWIS-based program that uses the grip from the roadway to determine a real-time performance metric. One of the other things about this program that we need your help with is any situations that aren't normal. So if your snow plan only calls for you to plow a road, say every 2 hours, and you're having only ½ inch of snow per hour, that road might stay snow covered just because you don't get to plow it very often. So if that's the case, and you look at your performance graph and it's all red, that's when you would need to go in and flag the data and just make the note that the snow plan only calls for this road to be plowed every 2 hours, and so therefore it's always going to be snow covered. Anytime you have a situation like that, or if you see the data is the picture doesn't match up with the color, and you let us know, that helps us make the program better and more accurate. One of the other things for this program that we need to know is if you have routes that you don't plow at night. So we want to put that in the system so the routes that aren't plowed are never in an unacceptable condition. So if you see that on your route, hit the flag and let us know. So what is the point of this whole system? So let's go back to the forecast view page, and if you see the snow and ice performance dashboard. So if you click on this, this brings up another page, and this is our statewide grade. So right now we're at a B-. So this page is what our senior management takes to the legislature and the governor, and this is how we show them how we're spending their money. Show them what a great job we're doing with the money that they're giving us. At the end of this year, we hope to have a grade for each region and statewide. And this graph here at the bottom shows the difference from last year in the yellow to this year in the blue for our grades for each month. So we increased about 7 in November, and December we jumped substantially. So far this year we're exceeding what our operations were last year. So that is a quick training on the storm management dashboard. There's a lot of options here and a lot of stuff to go over. If you have any questions, you can talk to Cody Opperman at the TOC Weather Desk or Brandon Klink in Central Maintenance. Thanks.